Hello, sixth graders. Let's prepare for our Unit 3 test. The first thing on your test is that you need to know the difference between an opposite and an absolute value. The opposite of a number is taking the sign and doing the opposite. So the opposite of 14 is negative 14. Simple as that. The opposite of negative 27 is positive 27. Think of a number line. If you had a 0 in the middle and you went 9 this way, that is 9. And then if you went 9 the other way, that's negative 9. So it's saying if you went the opposite direction, what number would you be at? So negative 8 is 8. 0, if you went 0 from the start and then you went the opposite the same direction, you'd still be at 0. So the opposite of 0 is 0. There is no such thing as negative 0. The opposite of 10 is negative 10. Moving on. Absolute value is different. I told you guys I think of it as a car wash. So think of these lines as like the things that like clean up your car. And when you put a number like negative 6 through the car wash, this negative sign washes away off of the number and it comes out as a 6. So this is a 6. Now if I put a clean number like the number 8 through a car wash, it doesn't have any negative. Think of negative as like a bad thing or dirt. You wash that off and it's still just 8. So another way to think of absolute value is that it's absolutely always positive. It's always a positive number. Now, the real true definition of absolute value would be if we went and found this number, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's saying how far away from 0 is that on the number line? Well, it's 4 spaces. And we can't measure a negative space, and that's why it's always a positive number. Now, let's think back to the car wash example here. Okay, if this 2 went through the car wash, see those washer things? It's not washing off this number that's sitting outside of the car wash. Sorry, not a number, but the negative sign. There's some dirt just waiting. Think of it like a bird ready to have a little accident on your car. So if the number 2 goes through the car wash, it comes out clean, but immediately it lands with some dirt or smudge onto your car. Oh no. So the negatives outside the car wash are applied after the car has gone through the car wash. Now this one, look at it's going into the car wash in a little group. Okay, we're going to take this little group that's going on here in an operation. We're going to do that operation. So the operation, the answer would be 6. And then we're going to have that answer go through the car wash. So the answer is going through the car wash and it comes out as a 6. We'll talk more about these next year when we do negative numbers because we will end up putting 2 things together and getting negative answers, which will then turn positive. All right, your second section on the test is where I tell you a sentence, and in the sentence you need to decide what integer best represents that sentence. Now, an integer is just a number, either positive or negative. It doesn't have any fraction parts. It doesn't have any decimal parts. It doesn't have a degrees sign. It doesn't have a dollar sign. Okay, it doesn't have anything but a whole number or a negative whole number. Technically, whole numbers are only positive, but integers are the negative version. So an integer. So if I say Jake deposits $23, deposit is my code word for puts in money into the bank. So that is an increase. That would be a positive value 23. See how I took the dollar sign off of that and I just used 23? Notice how I didn't put a plus 23 because it doesn't need to have a plus. The temperature dropped, code word, meaning negative 8 degrees, so negative 8. The house was placed 400 feet above sea level, so 400. These code words should be in your notes. If they're not, you should write some down for your notes. The football team lost 20 yards, so a loss would be a negative 20. Now we have to decide if we have an opposite or a regular integer or an absolute value. We have to decide which one is bigger, the thing on the left or the thing on the right. And we think of this as like the alligator's mouth. It always wants to eat the bigger number. If both numbers are the same, obviously we're going to use the equal sign. So I'm going to do all of the math things that I can do, and then I'm going to decide. So here I have a -4 and a +5. Well, no math can be done for that. I know that any positive number is always bigger than a negative number. If I need to, I can place them both on the number line. Here's -4, here's 5, and whatever number is further this way is the bigger number. Okay, so absolute value of -8. Again, it went through the car wash. It comes out as an 8. This one goes through the car wash. It comes out as a 3. What's bigger, 8 or 3? 8, that's right. Absolute value of 2 is 2. -2 is -2. Because see, there's no absolute value on that. So which one's bigger? The absolute value of 2. And the last one, if I have a -3 and a -10, it's kind of backwards to if I had positives. Sometimes these can be tricky. You might want to actually draw a number line. So 1, 2, 3, that's -3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we use that trick of whatever's further this way is the bigger number, then -3 is bigger than -10. All right, if I want to put them in order from least to greatest, I'm going to start with my negative numbers. So I like to just circle all the numbers that are negative, and I put them in kind of backwards order. So the biggest negative number is my smallest number. So -15, think about degrees. If it was very, very cold out, it would be a large negative number, like -25. That would be very, very cold. But -1 is just, it's bearable. So then we've got -12 next. Okay, so now that I'm done with my negatives, all I have to do is look at these numbers, and you've done this since you were little. Put them in order from smallest to largest. So 0, 5, 6, and 12. If I have these numbers, here's my negative values. Let's order those first. So the largest negative, -11, then the next largest, -9, then the next largest, -7. Okay, once I'm done with the negatives, now I can just look in terms of positives. Those are in order, 0, 2, 4. And what if they're all negative? Oh, they're not all negative. This one's positive, but that's okay. I've got almost all negatives. I'm still looking for which one's my biggest negative. -25. Then my next biggest negative. I like to cross things off. -15. Then my next biggest negative. -9. And my next one, -7. And the next one, -6. And my positive is the very last value. All right, sorry I can't sing. I'm going to do it for you anyways. Hey diddle diddle, the median's the middle. You add and divide for the mean. The mode is the one that appears the most, and the range is the difference between. Okay, so that gives us all those key words to help us realize mean, median, mode, and range. I strongly suggest that you also have notes on this. So let's do an example. If these were my numbers, the very first thing I want to do is put them in order from smallest to largest. I, again, like to cross them out as I go. 0, 3, 4, 6, another 6, 8, and another 8. Okay, now I like to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just to make sure that I have them all. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I can pick any of these. I actually like to do the mean last, so let's go ahead and do the mean last. I'm going to do the median first, okay? The median, hey diddle diddle, the median's the middle. So once I've lined them up, I want to find the middle of that group. So think about it as if I lined them up from like shortest to tallest. I want to find the middle. Okay, so to find the middle, I like to cross off the smallest and the biggest, the smallest and the biggest, the smallest and the biggest, until I have just one number left. If I have two numbers left, I'm going to find the middle of those two numbers. I can add the two numbers and divide by 2. Or if the numbers are like 4 and 6, I can find the number that lands in between. So this median is 6. All right, the mode. Hey diddle diddle, the median's the middle. You add and divide for the mean. The mode is the one that appears the most. Okay, I see that there's 2 6s and 2 8s. Okay, which one appears the most? Well, they both do. They tie, right? And so if there's 2 that tie or 3 that tie, there can be more than one mode. So this is 2 modes, 6 and 8. But if every single number appears just once, then there is no mode. Okay, so if there is a tie, but none of them are more than one, then there's no mode. Otherwise, we can have more than one mode. And range is the difference between, or the distance between, you're going to take your big number, your biggest number, and you're going to subtract your smallest number. So the biggest number in this group is easy to find because I put them in order from least to greatest. I have 8 as my biggest number, and my smallest number is 0. So the range is 8 minus 0, which is 8. All right, let's do the mean. The mean is the hardest one. I think of mean as in, remember the story I told you about Halloween candy and how, whoever got the most candy, this is kind of mean to them. So you can think of this as that story and that it's mean. It's like we took all of these groups of candy, we'll call them, and we put them all in one bucket. So if I did that, I would have 0 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus 6 plus 8 plus 8, all dumped in one bucket. How much is that? Well, let's see, that's 16 and 12, so 28 plus 7 is 35. So a total of 35 candies, all put in one bucket. Now, I'm going to share them equally between all of these 7 kids. Why 7? Because I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's how many I'm going to spread it back out to. If there were 9 numbers, I would divide by 9. If there were 3 numbers, I would divide by 3. So I'm going to divide this by 7 because there are 7. Now, these won't always work out perfectly, but this one happens to work out nicely. I didn't want to have to pull out a calculator for this and get a decimal answer. So I've got 35 divided by 7 is 5. 5, and if we were thinking about candies, this would be like 5 candies each. So this is why it's mean, because if you look at this person who got 8 candies and this person who got 0 candies, well, it's kind of, well, I guess if you think of this person, it's not mean. But if you're looking at this person, it's kind of mean because they had to give 3 pieces of their candy away because somebody didn't bring any candy to the party. All right, one more example of that. This one's a little bit different. So step 1, put them in order from smallest to largest. 4, 5, 5, 8, 9, and 11. Okay? Second step. Well, it depends, I guess, what thing we're doing. We can go ahead and do the mean first this time. So, hey diddle diddle, the median's the middle. You add and divide for the mean. So we're going to add them up. 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 8 plus 9 plus 11. Okay? And when I add those up, let's see, that's 20, 30, 42. I get 42. You add and divide for the mean. What are we going to divide by? Well, if we took all these people's, or pretending again that they're people with candy, if we take all those people's candy and we divvy it back out evenly, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to divide by 6. 42 divided by 6 is 7. The mean is 7. Okay, I've already put these numbers in order from smallest to largest. You have to do that in order for median to work. Okay, so the numbers are in order. And I'm going to cross off the smallest and the biggest, the smallest and the biggest. Ooh, if I try to do the smallest and the biggest here, I'd cross them both off. So when I have 2 numbers left in the middle, I'm going to find the middle of those 2 numbers. So the easiest thing to do is take the 2 numbers and find the mean. So just add them up. That's 13. And divide by 2 because there's 2 numbers, spread them out evenly, and that is 6.5. Okay? Hey diddle diddle, the median's the middle. You add and divide for the mean. The mode is the one that appears the most. Which one appears the most? That's right, 5. 5 wins that race. And the range is the difference between, I'm going to take my biggest minus my smallest, and I get 7. Last learning target. For graphing ordered pairs, remember my little tip to you is that I pretend like there is a little person standing at the origin where you always begin. This is the origin, the point 0, 0. This is where this person is. There, we'll make it a girl. She's wearing a skirt. There we go. Okay, this is where that person always begins. It's where they start. Then, if they have this little ladder, think of them as they can't climb up the ladder or climb down the ladder and then move from side to side because that would be very difficult. Instead, they're going to walk along this line first, either left or right, and then they're going to climb up or down their ladder. So the first number is always a left or right number. If it's negative, we're going to go this way for negatives. If it's positive, we're going to go this way for positive. Okay? Then the second number, if it's positive, we go up. If it's negative, we go down. So let's go ahead and move to letter A. So we're going to go -2. So I'm starting here and I'm going 1, 2 to the negative. Then I'm going to go up 6. Remember, I am counting this as 1. So like I'm counting these lines, not the boxes. So I go from here to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put a dot and label it. Always put a dot. Don't ever just leave the letter by itself. That is not correct. It needs to have a point there. And let's find the point for B. So I'm going to go 3. That's positive. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go 0 up or down. So that means I stay right on that line. See, I put a dot and I'm going to label the dot. Now we're going to find, where is this dot for C? Well, I went left 1 and down 3. So left 1 is represented by -1 and down 3 is represented by -3. And to find point D, well, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right. That is a positive 7. And down 1, 2. Down is negative. All right, make sure that you update your notes and that you have everything ready. You can always go on IXL to study. Best of luck.